And the Credit Man Willis here, and we're talking about how to dispute your credit reports. You dispute any inaccurate information on your credit reports, and here's the deal. The law says any item you believe is inaccurate, you can dispute. Now, the first place to start is by getting a copy of each one of your credit reports from each of the major credit bureaus. You can get a copy for free, of course, annualcreditreport.com. That's a website set up by the government. You just fill out the information. They also have a toll-free phone number available there. But the reason you have to get all three of your credit reports is because often each one's going to contain different information. And this is speculation, but if you have a credit card charge off on your TransUnion credit report, for example, and you dispute Equifax, and that charge off isn't on your Equifax credit report, it's going to be very difficult to move forward with any legitimate dispute against Equifax. In other words, you have to dispute the specific credit bureau that has that item on your credit report. And let's say, with the same example, let's say that charge-off's on all three of your credit reports. That means you're going to have to dispute each one of the three major credit bureaus. They're not associated, they're not affiliated, they're not the government, they're for-profit private businesses. The law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, was passed for your rights, for your protection. It's not passed to help the credit bureaus. And the truth of the matter is, the credit bureaus have been fined multiple times by our government for not following the laws, not following regulation, for not investigating legitimate consumer disputes. This is why they aren't willing, and they really, a lot of people get frustrated, is because they'll find your dispute frivolous. And this is done, I would be astonished if the numbers weren't like 99.9% for every single initial letter. The goal is to frustrate you and hope that you'll just give up and live with bad credit, even if you've been a victim of identity theft. The reason why they don't want to do this is because the credit bureaus have to spend time and money investigating any consumer's dispute. This time and money is otherwise profit. Now, I've yet to hear of any company in a capitalistic society just giving money away. This is why they're so reluctant to investigate consumer disputes. And if you're really curious, I believe it was a while ago, it was over a decade ago, but at one point the federal government required the credit bureaus to set up a call-in where you could call in and file a dispute. But the credit bureaus neglected to actually have people there to answer the phones. They were fined a big sum of money, which was like 10 minutes of their business during any normal year. You know, it was quite a while ago. It was in the past. But the credit bureaus aren't there. They're not your friend. They don't want to investigate your dispute because that's less money that they're going to make. I mean, you have to look at it big picture. Be very cautious about who you listen to, because the Fair Credit Reporting Act says that the maximum amount of time an item can remain on your credit report, any derogatory, it's a maximum 7 to 10 years. There is no minimum amount of time any bad credit item must remain on your credit report. Do all your disputes through writing. We're going to include a link in the description below. We have a dispute letter that you can use at our website. You really have to be cautious about this and jump through these hoops. It's just what you have to do. Unfortunately, if you get responses where they say it's frivolous or you start feeling frustrated with it and it turns into a huge headache, don't live with bad credit. Turn to a professional. You know, there's many companies that have low monthly fees that'll do this stuff for you. And believe it or not, when the credit bureaus get a dispute that has a legal, letterhead, an attorney who's familiar with credit laws, I believe, in my humble opinion, that they're much more likely to take that serious than from, any old guy off the street that has ketchup stains and, the dog ate my homework ripped up piece of paper disputing an item. Hey, this isn't right. You have to follow all these little, they're just what you have to do. It's a lot of little hoops, but you have to do it in order to have any shot at removing it. And remember, you're dealing with a company that is saying, yes, we'll not make as much money because we made a mistake, or because the company that's reporting your information made a mistake. You're getting them to spend money to fix your credit report. They're not likely to. They don't want to, because if they don't, that's more profit they earn. Please, all these laws are passed to protect you. You can dispute your credit report for any number of reasons. Inaccurate information, it's a dispute with the lender. If you have any documents, please send copies along. Please have as much evidence and as much documentation as you can with this stuff. Like we said, the credit bureaus are notorious for not complying with the federal laws and the regulations, and we humbly believe that this is in part because the credit bureaus put millions of dollars in Washington through lobbyists every single year. The credit bureaus earn their money by selling the information about you they've collected. They don't earn any money by fixing a mistake on your credit report, even if you are an unfortunate victim of identity theft. All that does is cost them money. So you have to do this stuff. You have to be smart about it to have any chance. Don't just live with it. That's their goal. They want you to get frustrated. They want you to just live with it. The fact is, if it's incorrect, and every single law that's been passed in Washington is there for you. It's to protect your rights. It's protect your credit report. And one study a few years back, maybe it's a little bit more than a few years back, but it's not too long ago, found that it was 79% of all credit reports contain an error on them. This can happen for a number of reasons, but that error could be costing you some real significant money, not to mention potentially a job. In our brave new world, many employers will check your credit report before offering you a job. So please be very cautious. Unfortunately, from our humble opinion, our government has been very swayed by a lot of this big money that's being thrown at them every single year. Who on earth would think it was a good idea that the credit bureaus could decide if your dispute is valid or not before they investigate it? That's something the credit bureaus would want, because they get to choose whether or not they spend money. And that money is otherwise profit. It doesn't make any sense at all to be very, very nice about it. So you're really already from the get-go, you're going up against the Goliaths. And these Goliaths have huge sums of money, big, high-powered attorneys. They're in bed with our government through lobbyists. I mean, they are not your friend. If you have a legitimate dispute, they're not just going to say, oh, okay, Bob, sure, no problem, we'll fix that right up for you. They're not going to do that ever. This is why so many folks will often turn to a credit repair professional to do it on their behalf, somebody that's familiar and somebody that knows the laws and knows that the credit bureaus must investigate your dispute. They must do this to follow the laws and follow the regulations. Everything's there for your protection, for your rights, to keep your credit safe. Because way back in 1970, Congress recognized how important and influential your credit report is about you. How many things does it touch, from your job to your car to where you're living? I mean, I wish it was easier. I wish our government wasn't influenced by the big money, but this is what is. Since this is what is, you have to be very, very, very smart about it. You can do it yourself, but you're going to have to really be persistent. You're going to have to be organized, and you're going to have to not be willing to accept no. And I don't mean just keep sending letters. I mean, you have to follow these arbitrary rules to actually get your stuff removed, even if it's just a total piece of fiction. I mean, it's as easy as a lender typing in the wrong social security number, as easy as dialing the wrong phone number for you to have a total error on your credit report. And we could be talking about a real serious negative item that costs you some huge money when it comes to interest rates, where you're living, even a job. I mean, please be very cautious about who you listen to. The law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act actually says a maximum amount of time any item can remain on your credit report is for 7 years. There is no minimum amount of time any item must remain. There's no minimum. All this stuff is for you and your protection, so please be cautious. And please check out the credit dispute letter. We're going to include a link in the description below at our website. We currently are giving away a free report, the 7 super simple steps to clean credit. Please subscribe and join our congregation. Please like this video. I wish you the best of luck. Please let us know how it goes with a comment below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, reach out to us. We're here to help. Please have a fantastic afternoon and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.